What's good, people? We're back again. Arsenal Whip from Lee Judges TV, myself and Lee, and it's been a few days, to be fair. So we've both been busy. Lee's been football. I've been away for the weekend, and I was trying to do bits and pieces on my channel, and Lee was doing some uploads on here, but it's busy. It's busy times at the moment. The season's back. It's the first weekend. Game week 1 done. Do not have to worry about going to Old Trafford again. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk a little bit about what it means for our next few games that are coming up. And we're going to touch on some transfer business because, believe it or not, the transfer window actually is still open. You just wouldn't know it if you're a Gooner because it seems that it's gone very, very quiet in terms of incomings and outgoings. Big up to everyone that's here nice and early. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on this one. Our next target is the big 5-0. Let's make sure that we can get there quickly for this season. Yeah, thanks for all of your support. Look, Judges, 3 points, Old Trafford. You take that any time of the season, right? Any season coming. I don't care how we get it. I don't care if we get it through going off the back arse of someone to win 1-0. You just take the 3 points. We all want to be seeing 3s, 4s, 5s go in. But when I look at the preseason and when I look at that game at the weekend, my thoughts are as follows. We still don't quite look ready. We still don't quite look fit enough. Don't think we look sharp enough. Don't think we got the balance right at times in our midfield still. And I do wonder what has happened to our attack. So I'll ask you, because you were there. You see it very differently to me. I was away with a family watching it in the pub. So obviously I was a little bit more distracted than you were at times. But I watched the full 90. And there were some nice things I saw from certain individuals. But there was also some concerns, I'll call it. Let's not be too negative with some of our play. Now, lastly, before I come to you, I have got to say, Manchester United fans need to calm down a little, right? Because they are so starved of any form of performance. Because if you thought that was an exceptional performance from Manchester United when they did not look like scoring, then I would worry if that was me. I wouldn't be getting too excited if I was a Man United fan. Don't get me wrong, they're not going to come 15th or 16th again, but they're certainly nowhere near the Man United that would scare teams that used to back in the 90s and 2000s. So that's what I will say on Manchester United. What do you make of the performance, Judges?
Yeah, first of all, did you have a nice holiday? Nice little break in Potters. That was good. Did you go off-site for the game, or did you watch it on-site?
No, I watched it on-site in a bar, yeah. Watched it in a bar area. It was quite good because there's quite a lot of Arsenal fans there. I'll tell you this, actually, right? I saw probably majority of fans that were there were either Norwich fans or Ipswich fans because it was over in Norfolk, right, that we went. Arsenal fans, Chelsea, or West Ham. I saw no Tottenham. I saw no Man United and I saw no Liverpool. So it's quite nice, really, to be honest
lovely.
with you.
That's even better for Potters.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, so you could sit there and watch the game, and most of the people there were Gooners. There was a couple of Man United fans I saw, but nowhere near the level. Most of the people were Arsenal. So, and of course, all my family were as well. And there was, how many of us was there? 7 of us, right? So we had 7 Gooners all sitting around one table. And then there was a few Gooners sitting around other tables. So it was good, mate. And do you know what? It was lovely there. Lovely weekend. If you've not been, get yourself over there.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And I know you like it, and you said
I love
you
it.
like it.
I love it. Like, you know what I mean?
We did enjoy it, mate.
I'm a big fan of it. Like, you know. So I'm glad you. Listen, you had the weather as well, which makes it even more better.
Yeah.
I think. Like the last time I went, it was like 3 days of lovely sun, or 4 days, whatever. Well, we went on the Monday to Friday one, like, you know, I mean, you get sit outside in the pool. It was lovely, like, you know, I mean, you got the beach just walking distance away.
Well,
so
actually, the Friday, Saturday was beautiful. The Sunday, Monday was cloudy for us over there.
Wow, was it? Oh, bloody
yeah,
Sunday
yeah,
was.
Yeah. But Friday, Saturday was glorious,
really
mate.
sunny day.
Yeah,
sunny day.
I don't mind it though. I'll tell you why I don't mind it. Well, Friday, Saturday was beautiful. But the Sunday, we needed it because we were inside watching the football for a lot of it anyway. But 2, we went and played like the bowls and the tennis and all that stuff you do outside when you don't want it steaming hot. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why we did all that. So actually, it worked out quite well for us.
Worked out perfectly well.
Then, yeah, it did, bro.
Yeah, it was listen, I've been a little bit disappointed with a lot of Arsenal fans over this, you know what I mean? Slagging off the team, slagging off this and slagging off that. Yeah, and you know what? I understand it. It was a poor performance, and you can go down that route if you want. But first game of the season, Man United away. I don't think if you didn't go to the game, I don't think you appreciated what the atmosphere was like. Now, you've been to Man United games in the last couple of seasons, and so have I. They've been at the back end of the season when they've been a little bit down and a little bit like, they obviously not things have gone their way. And it's been not a very nice place to be, Old Trafford. But listen, a couple of signings, you know what I mean? Like they've totally forgot about their humiliation in the Europa League and their poor form last season. Like, they were a completely different mindset. Dan, I'm genuinely telling you now, they were mocking us, laughing the Mickey out of us, and they actually thought.
I saw it go viral with you. That's what I saw.
Yeah. Listen, that was fantastic. It was. Listen, it was. I have to say that it was nothing like aggressive as it looks. It was all like
all banter.
Yeah. It was all banter. It was fantastic. Going into the ground, it was fantastic. It wasn't hostile, I have to say that, but it was electric. It was feisty, you know what I mean? They fancied it, Dan. They wanted it. They thought that they thought, and I genuinely, I've spoken to a few Man United fans after the game and before, they genuinely thought that they were winning that game. They thought that they were going to win that game, that they were back sort of thing. And you sensed it in the crowd and the atmosphere. So when people say, it wasn't this and wasn't that, I don't think you have to appreciate, there's 75,000 fans there, you know what I mean? You've been there, you know what it's like. It's a big big stadium. They were on you, you know what I mean? And that atmosphere in the first 10 minutes, I thought, oh, you know what I mean? This is going to be tougher than what I actually thought it was, And people going, oh, you don't want to go. I've heard people turn around and go, you don't want to go away to a promoted team like West Ham did in the first game. We're going to go away to Man United. A revamped Man United, that are going to be a lot better than what they were last season. Let me tell you. And people saying all of this negative stuff and that, and I get it. I'm on that, but I'm on that board as well. You know what I mean? Because it was poor. But the last time we played well at Old Trafford, Dan, we lost 3-1. You know what I mean? The last 3 games, we've not played that well in any of them. We've won 1-0, 1-0, and 1-1. And last season, we drew there. So we've improved on last season straight away, So, listen, you can be negative and all that, but when we win, I tend to be positive, you know what I mean? If we'd have lost that game, I'd have been going mad then because there's so many things wrong about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? From the sloppiness of the team, I can't understand. Against a better team, we get beat there because we give away the ball. Declan Rice in the first couple of minutes. Gabriel, Saliba, sloppy. Ben White was the only one out of that back 4 that wasn't sloppy in the first 10 minutes. Goalkeeper, nearly giving away a penalty, another day, and then we sort of grew into it a little bit better. Look, Calafiori proved a lot of people right. He had his hands full, by the way, Calafiori. I tell you, But listen, and people will slag off Martinelli, and rightly so from his attacking performance. But I tell you what, he never got past them that much in the first half. Second half, when Maduka, whatever he's bleeding in camp, oh my God, defensively, was woeful. Absolutely, Madawuki, absolutely woeful. But I felt we was too open in midfield. I don't know if you felt that. They had far too much space in midfield. There was no one sitting in front of the back 4 like I would have hoped there would to be. There was vacant areas in there away from home. Look, we got away with one then. I'm going to say it now. Let's be really honest. We got away with one. But at the end of the day, it's 3 points. If we can get the result against Leeds now, have 6 points. That's a good start then going into the Liverpool game. If we can get something from Liverpool, that you got the international break, you'd say that first 3 games, that's a good start. So I know it weren't great. And listen, if Arsenal are going to win the league, if you want to sit there and put me on the fence and say, right, after watching that game, do you think Arsenal are going to win the league? No, hell no. Nowhere near it. So we know we've got to improve. We know that.
Yeah. There's a lot I agree with. I think if we were in November, December, and we saw that performance, there'd be a lot more understanding for the head loss. Now, my fan cam, I did one on my channel. I didn't lose my head. I just said I'd take the 3 points. There's a lot more to improve, and there's a lot of concerns. I mean, that's negative. I mean, that's Well, I actually think that's factual, personally, because I think there was stuff that was concerning. And I also think that you take the 3 points because it's Old Trafford, right? There's a lot more people, for whatever reason, that are laughing at Arsenal over Chelsea. Well, Chelsea didn't win at home against Palace. Now, a good side, Palace. They should have lost, in fact, because I still can't see anything wrong with that goal, by the way. However, I think that the amount of rival fans saying, Arsenal are going to come 5th or 6th this year. Oh, my God. Well, we didn't lose, and it was at Old Trafford. So I think it's a little bit over the top, if I'm honest. However, when I look at the individual performance and the team performance, it don't fill me with a lot of hope, bruv. I've got to be honest with you.
No, I get that.
And I don't look at the individual players. You know, I had a bit of a debate last night with some of the lads. I'm not looking at the players. I am looking at the manager now. We can't keep 6 years in saying it's these players. It's these players. These players are all his. They are all his, and they have individually and as a team had brilliant glimpses as players away from this manager or under this manager now, right? So I'm no longer saying these players he just needs 4 or 5 more players. I'm not interested in doing that. He's got to get this group of players attacking because they're worrying. Now, what was even more concerning for me Sunday now, wasn't just that we were blunt in attack. We conceded 22 goals, Lee. 22 shots even. That is a serious worry, right? That means your midfield and your fence ain't quite with it. And I understand we defended like Trojans towards the end to hold the 1-0 lead. But when you're having 22 shots against better players, you ain't going to win football matches if that happens. Everyone slagged off Unai Emery for that, so we can't be hypocritical. We've got to get that right. The balance in midfield needs to be right. I thought Rice had an absolute stinker, and he's one of my favourite players. I thought he was absolutely shocking. I thought he was terrible. Zubimendi, I thought was okay out of 3. Ødegaard, I hear mixed opinions. Some people thought he was brilliant. I thought he was pretty naff. No denying he works hard. No denying he gives 100%. No denying he presses. But I need to see him with the ball doing better. And I need to eradicate. Do you remember that program, Room 101? Remember that program?
Yeah.
Room 101? Yeah. If I could take the scoop pass and put it in 101, I would. The Room 101 needs to have Ødegaard's scoop pass, lifting it over the thing. Stop doing that. Because that pass makes it incredibly difficult for the front 3. Because they've either got to volley it first time, volley it, half volley it, or try and stop it from going off for a goal kick. It is the most pointless thing that he's doing. That fucking scoop he does drives me absolutely insane. It's like when Carlos Vela was at Arsenal, he used to dink it over the goalkeeper. He did it 2 or 3 times. I thought, oh, that's a nice little finish. Never did it again. Like, stop doing it. It ain't going to work. Yeah, you can't have just that in your armour. You've got to have more. And there's a great tweet from Curtis, big up to Curtis, who says, look at this option here. Saka on the right, scooping it over, or threading the ball through to Gyökeres, and he chose the scoop pass. Now, I haven't seen Martin Ødegaard thread a ball through for months, bruv. Like a Mesut Ozil pass, a weighted pass. You think, cool, where's he seen that? I ain't seen Ødegaard do that for months, bruv. So that's got to change. Then I look at the attack. You're right to mention Martinelli, but I'll tell you who was worse. My favourite player, Saka. I thought he was as bad, if not worse, than Martinelli. I've got to be honest with you. I thought he was absolutely terrible. And Gyökeres is getting the most blame, but what the hell is he supposed to do? Does he want to come back to help Zubimendi out then to get the ball? Because no one's bloody passing it to him. So as much as I haven't been massively impressed with Gyökeres, I'm not going to start caning him in game 2 when everyone else is worse than him and they've been at the club for more than lot longer than him. In defence, I thought Ben White and Calafiori could probably hold their head high, but the other 2, very questionable. I thought it was a penalty. I thought Saliba didn't even touch the board. And I couldn't believe he didn't give a penalty. I mean, it was crazy, in my opinion. And David Raya, I know you say he gave the ball away and he could have given away, but do you know what? That was a world-class save from Cunha.
Yeah.
Absolute fingertip world-class save. So I think there's individual performances I looked at, probably Raya, probably Calafiori, and probably Ben White, and maybe Zubimendi, if I wanted to push it one more. Everybody else had serious question marks. And I'm also with you. The subs, when I look at them coming on, Timber, Lewis-Skelly, Kai Havertz, Madueke, I'm thinking, okay, this is better because we've got squad depth again now. This is good. We've gone back to the tall centre, centre fullbacks. We've gone back to the ball-playing ones. And we brought on Madueke, who is supposed to be depth. And Kai Havertz is now a squad player. Brilliant. I don't think he did anything, if I'm honest with you, to improve us. So, look, we defended at the end. We saw out the game, and I think that's a positive. We take 3 points away from Old Trafford. But I'm with you. Madueke, as far as debuts go, that wasn't the best one, to be honest with you. So, look, we'll come on to transfers and stuff later, but I do think that one there is the one that has to work this season. And I feel like when we signed Kai Havertz at 65 million, everyone said that'll be the sword he falls on. I feel like he's gone and bloody done it again with Madueke, really, because that one has to work for me at 52 M's, which, especially when you've said, no, don't want Eze, don't want Kudus, don't want Cunha, don't want Mbuemo, I don't want Reinders, I don't want Ryan Cherky, I want Noni Madueke. Sorry, mate. I think that one is going to be a lot of pressure on him, man. So they were my thoughts, judges.
Yeah, listen, I can't argue with him. Look, listen, if you want to go down and slag off Arsenal, like, and I've seen a few things like that, you can't argue with it. You can't argue with it, like, and you're saying that. Look, Odegaard's going to cause a lot of problems this season, I think, with the fan base, because I think even if he doesn't play well, everybody's going to be on him. If he has a half decent game, everybody's going to be on him. And if he plays really well, there's going to be that side of it. Like that. I thought he done okay, but he gave the ball away a lot. But as one of my mates turned around and said, look, he's trying to more difficult balls, so you're going to give them away. There's always excuses, always going to look at things differently and whatever. And I get that. At the end of the day, he's worked hard, man. You're not going to get that much space and create that sort of stuff. As for Gyökeres, you know what I mean? Like, I see things in his game that I think like are going to be good. Then I see things in his game and I think like, oh no, looks a bit there. But I'm going to say this now: he's 2 weeks still off of being 100% fit. And that this is the reason why I still say we should have paid the extra couple of million, and he should have been 2 weeks up and running, like, you know what I mean, and we could be a little bit different. Listen, I think when Kai Havertz come on, Kai Havertz is a different player to him, and he got more touches in there because he comes back and drops into the midfield, and listen, he was actually brought on to just see out the game more than win it, like, you know what I mean, and there's a difference, but I still think that, you know, there's a lot of people wanting to jump on the bandwagon about Gyökeres, and I just think it's something that we've got to accept. Do you know what? This is what makes me laugh about the footballing world and the pundits and everything like that. Oh, it's a free kick. Oh, could have been a penalty. Oh, it could have been this, could have been that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Arsenal, weak, disgusting performance when we lost to Brentford a couple of years ago, you know, when Brentford were first in the Premier League. Definitely a goal, you know what I mean? Like, got to be stronger. When it comes to us, oh, it's a foul. Oh, like, you know, glorious defeat from Man United, like, you know what I mean? When we had a glorious defeat against PSG, everybody's taking a mickey out of us. Like, I'll get a cup for a glory, giving PSG a game. Like, well, yeah, Man United give us a game, but they lost. But everybody's glorying on what they've done. Like, you know what I mean? Let's get it right. That goal was poor from their point of view. Like, you know, when we do that, man up. You know what I mean? Like, our people saying it's a free kick. Go and watch the game. Any Arsenal fan that says that's a free kick, go and watch the game between Aston Villa and Arsenal a couple of years back when they put a free kick in and there's a foul all over Ramsdale in the last couple of minutes, goes to 1-1. Like, you know, tell me that's not a foul and that one is. You know what I mean? Like, don't go down that route of that. Now, listen, at the end of the day, I didn't think it was a penalty. I think he was trying to bag into him and all that, but it could have been given. Like, I'm not saying, but the refereeing decisions of that game were horrendous from the first minute to the last. Zubimendi gets elbowed in the face in the first minute. Play on, right? One, okay, all right. It might not be a foul, right? He's been hit in the face, Dan. What's the first thing? What's protocol? What you got to do? You got to stop the game. Play on. Like, you know, there was so many little fouls that he didn't get. You know, Gyökeres one time got pulled down by two players, play on, like, you know what I mean? Their player gets a little touch on the edge of the box, foul. So there's all those sort of things going on in that game, like, you know.
The ref had a bit of a disaster, but how bad has that been? This, I mean, we were in game week 1, and I have seen a handball say that it's in a natural position when his arm's out here, Bournemouth guy, and then I've seen yesterday James Tarkowski do this, and it hit him on the side, and it be given a penalty for Leeds. I have absolutely zero understanding of refereeing, mate, but that's another story.
Yeah, listen, this handball rule is still, you know, controversial, as you say. Like, you know, was it McAllister one? He's handballed it the other day. You know what I mean? Like, they're saying that that's not a penalty, and that is. You know what I mean? Like, can someone come out and explain to me why they didn't give that one, but that one is a penalty? And no one can.
Embarrassing.
No one can. It's you know what I mean, like totally embarrassing. Like, you know, they're just not good enough, Dan, and that's the fact. Like, and they're getting no help, and it does spoil football. I don't care what it does. Like, you know what I mean. You know, like I think, yeah, the was it? Like Shaw on Odegaard. Odegaard puts it through his legs. It's a horrendous tackle. Like, you know what I mean. Play on. Play it, like, you know, like we got the free kick, but no. And then the one on Havertz when Maguire does him, like, you know what I mean, like they don't even get booked for it, like, you know what I mean. So listen, the refereeing's decisions I thought were against us. It was a tough game for us, that, like, you know what I mean. I do agree with what you're saying with Raya. I think Raya comes out with. I don't like giving our goalkeeper man of the match because it means it looks like we've been outplayed and everything like that. It wasn't like that. I think we allowed them to have possession at times, which maybe because we went 1-0 up, we looked to hit them on the break after that. But I think that was the worst thing for me. The most disappointing thing is I don't think we look like scoring, Dan, at any stage of that game. Apart from a set piece, and like you can say, yeah, you know, like listen, so you know, like, Spurs fans trying to mock us because of our set pieces and all that. Like, you know, I'd rather have that in their armour. If you're not playing well, you can go there and get a goal from a set piece. So it's a weapon for us. And I you know, listen, the one time that crowd went quiet on Sunday was any time we had a set piece because they know. You know what I mean? We're dangerous, like, you know. So I didn't think that the runs from our forwards, if I'll be honest, were good enough when Odegaard had the ball on a couple of occasions. I thought Zubimendi was neat and tidy without being spectacular. Sometimes that's all right from midfield. Declan Rice looks off the pace, well off the pace, in my opinion. But I've noticed that with him. He has to have a couple of games to get going, doesn't he? Like, you know what I mean?
So, yeah, he had it last season, but I suppose last season he had the Euros off the back off. But I think he just had a bad game. I don't think it was like, oh my God, I'm worried now. I think Rice has had that before where he's had a quieter game. And I thought like you know, last season against Man United at Old Trafford, I thought he was one of our best players. So, you know, it can go that way sometimes. The midfield thing, I looked at it against Athletic Bilbao and I thought, yeah, I liked it. Zubimendi and Rice were closer to each other. It was more of a double pivot, more of a 4-2-3-1. Allowed Odegaard to get into the game a bit more. I thought all three of them struggled a bit in this game, if I'm honest with you. And I don't think that's anything to do with Manchester United because they had Casemiro and Bruno, which isn't exactly like frightening in their middle, is it? We should really be dominating that midfield. You know, Arsenal know their midfield. Man United are still questioning it. That's why they want Baleba and Adam Wharton and these guys coming in. I think Arsenal's midfield was the strongest it's going to be there, and it kind of worried me a little bit. I thought Zubimendi had an okay game. I didn't think he was outstanding, but he was certainly the best of the trio. Odegaard, some thought he was magnificent. If that's magnificent, I'm sorry, then get yourselves down to Specsavers because there's 2 for 1 at the moment. Do you know what I mean? So I think when you look at the scenario of midfield, I still have question marks, but hopefully it can improve. And then the attack, Lee, I mean, I've got to be honest, Saka's not going to have a game as bad as that this season, I'm sure, because he was poor. Martinelli, I'm starting to worry, if I'm honest with you. I kind of feel like he's not deserving to start at the moment. He's been that ineffective. And that's going to affect Gyökeres. You know, I know he's going to affect Gyökeres. You know, Manchester City had this with Haaland for the majority of last year. Haaland is world class. He's going to put it in the back of the net at some stage, which is why he got 14. There's no denying that when KDB and Foden and all that were on fire the season before, he got 30 goals. Well, you take Foden and KDB's form out of that, and Man City drop Rodri's out, Haaland gets half of that, 14. So you've got to sort your creativity out at Arsenal because there weren't many creative chances against them. I hadn't seen much creativity for the whole of pre-season. And certainly at the back end of last season, people were crying out for an Eze-type player. And that's my opinion now, is we need to look at how we get this attack better because nobody can deny in the last few weeks there's been players available out there, okay? So let's not worry about the goalkeeping, defending. Let's not even worry about the midfield for now, Lee, right? Let's worry about the attack of Arsenal that could be improved upon. I've seen over the last few weeks, Ryan Cherky and Reinders available. They've ended up going to Man City over Arsenal. Cool, that's fine, but they were available. I've seen Florian Wirtz go in this window. Oh, he's a hell of a lot of money. Cool, but he was available. I've seen Eze being linked with Arsenal and Spurs. Kudus has gone to Tottenham. Ryan, what's his name? For Man United, who played against us, Cunha and Brian Mbeumo, both gone to Manchester United. We decided to go for Madueke over all of those players. there has been no excuses about, well, no one was available, really. We couldn't really find the right player. We're being linked with Semenyo, with Lookman, with Rodrigo, with Rafael Leao. People are saying all 4 of them could be available for the right money this summer. Arsenal have got to go now and deliver at least 1, in my opinion, 2 attacking players, Judges. Otherwise, it's criminal, in my opinion.
Yeah, I watched that game on obviously Sunday, and I said it all along. Cunha was a player that I would, why can someone say to me, like, I think they got him for 64 million, was it something like that? Like, I don't know how much, not no more than that. 65 million, say, right? Why have we not gone for him and we've gone for Madueke? What can anybody explain that? Like, I'm pretty sure if we would have gone in for him, we'd have got him. He can play on the left, right? In a front 3, he can play down the middle, and he can also play as another 10. Like, so if you're playing against a low block team, you can have 2 players in there. He works hard. I just don't understand why we've not gone in for that 62.5. There you go. So, like, for £10 million more, we could have got him, and he could have played 3 or 4 positions for us, and just been a game-changing sort of player for us. I don't see that with Madueke. I don't. You know what I mean? And I'm not looking at the board on this. Like, the board don't tell Mikel what player to get. Mikel, you know what I mean? It's down to him. Like, you know what I mean? And like Mikel don't like Mavericks. Well, if he doesn't, you're not going to win this league. You've got to have something different. And I still look at us, and you're right. The creativity of our side. Look, Liverpool, I know it's out of context a little bit, but Liverpool, Man City, they played Wolves and Bournemouth respectively. Like, they look like they could score at any moment. I don't see that with Arsenal. It looks like we're struggling to create, struggling to score goals. You know what I mean? Like, and we need someone like that. Now, we've had this transfer window where you've got the player you want up front to score goals, but you've got to feed him. You know what I mean? Like, if you've got I don't know, if you've got an house and you think, right, okay, we're getting robbed every week, right? I'll tell you what, I'm going to go and put a bear on security, right? Yeah, but I don't give him no food for 10 days or 20 days. What's going to happen to him? Like, you know what I mean? You're still going to get robbed because he's going to be dead. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to feed the beast. You know what I mean? Like, and that's what we've got to do. And I look at it and I think, right, Odegaard is our only real player that's going to create. Now, if he doesn't create, as he didn't that much on Sunday, right, it all falls down and everybody slags off Odegaard. But is it really all on Odegaard to be the only player to be the one? I don't think so, Dan. I think there's got to be other players in the team.
I actually think Saka's our most creative player still. I know he had a shocker at the weekend, and so did, well, all of them did, right? I actually look at Saka and I feel like, go on, something's going to happen. He's going to deliver into the box. He's going to cut inside and have a shot. With Odegaard, I think he's going to do all he can to get rid of it as quickly as he can. I don't want it, or I'm going to keep on it. He's got one or the other Odegaard. It's like, I'm going to flick it through, scoop it up, or I'm going to keep on it, swivel around a bit, slow it right down, pass it back to Zubimendi. I need to see something more. I need to see free flowing. I need to see it all quicker. I need to see counter-attacking. I need to look at that and go, the crowd get up. You know, one thing you can't deny about Arsene Wenger was I always knew we were going to go forward. There was no denying the fact we were crap at the back. And it's like you want to morph both these managers together because Arteta's done the defensive side, yeah, which is why we haven't lost to the Big Six in 22 games. That's not a trophy, though. I want to go and see us scoring goals. I want to see us exciting to watch. Because I've got to be honest, in the last 12 to 18 months, it has been a cure for insomnia, bruv, our football. It is absolutely embarrassing.
And when you look at that statistic, Dan, right, and like people are starting to glorify that, like 22 games against, well, what does that tell you? It tells you when you're playing against lots of good teams, you're not as creative as you should be. Because you're obviously, if you're beating all those teams or not losing to them, how are you not winning the league? Because you're dropping points against teams that you should be beating. And the reason we're not doing it is because we haven't got a Maverick or someone that can open it up, like, you know. And listen, I think Saka's a problem at this moment in time because as you say, he's creative and all that, but he's out on the wing. You've got to feed it. You've got to get him fed, like, so maybe put him in that role, like, and put him in there and try and do something different, like, you know, maybe play Saka and Odegaard as two number 10. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there, like, you know, that is going to be a problem for us. You know, I look at I look at the game on. And I'm not going to criticise Arteta and all that, because we're 1-0 up, like, you know, and I'm pretty sure if it was 1-1 or 0, we was losing, the substitutes would have been different. The substitutes would come on to shore up and make sure we won the game. So he done the job. So it's not as bad as what it is. But, you know, I'll be interested to see what happens against Leeds. Team selection against Leeds. What's going to happen if things are not going well against Leeds? I'm going to...
Bless you, mate. Bless you, bro. Bless you.
I've been doing a bit of cleaning, and I think the dusters are coming up. Like, so. But like, yeah, do you know what I'm saying? So it's going to be a little bit awkward. You know, I watched Leeds yesterday. Really, because of they're not going to come out and open. They're going to be a hard one to break down. It's going to be I don't think an entertaining game unless we score early, like, you know, and make them come out. But you know, that's going to be the interesting thing, is what substitutions does he make then, like, you know. And I do, what I worry about Arsenal, and I might be going against what I'm saying here. There's 5 minutes to go from the end. We've got a corner, right? And you're thinking, right, get in there, make sure you get the goal here from a set piece, get it 2-0 and go. We decide to go short and then end up giving the ball away right at the edge, right on the halfway line, and you know, Miles Lewis-Skelly gives away a booking. It could have been a sending off, and then from 10 seconds there, they've got a ball which they can launch into our box, and anything can happen from there. Like, you know what I mean? Well, why not? You know, why a little bit too cautious? You know what I mean? Do you not think that, or is it me just going, I'm trying to see it out like that? Was something that we should never do. Like, you know. Just put it in there. If you hit it over the bar, they've then got to get the ball, take the goal kick or whatever, like, you know. And at the end of it, because of that, we was nearly done. So I do think that Mikel was a little bit too cautious. And I think that when you've got a back four of what we've got, like Ben White or Timber, Calafiori or Miles Lewis-Skelly, the two central defenders that we got, do we need to pack out all over the park to protect that? I don't think we do. I think that, you know, they're good enough to be able to say, like, do you know what I mean? Like, maybe with a holding midfield player, we're going to be very, very hard to beat. I will say this about things, because I was having a conversation, and it's true. The 3 times that we've won the Premier League, right? Do you know how many goals we conceded against Man United away in those three games?
2?
None. We didn't concede. Wow. We beat them 1-0. 1-0 with Mark Overmars' goal. 1-0 with the Will Talk goal. And the 0-0 in the Keown
Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah. So we've won them 1-0, 1-0, 0-0. It's never been even when we've been at what the point I'm trying to make, even when we've been at our very, very best, we've never gone up there and blown them away. Never. So I think at the end of the day, look, tick that box off. It's done. Forget about it now, like, you know, and concentrate on the next game, like, you know what I mean. And for me now, the game against Leeds will tell us a whole lot more about how good Arsenal are going to be this season than what we did against Man United or whatever. Because we know against the Man Uniteds, the Man Cities and the Liverpools and all that, like, they're going to come out toe to toe, and it could be, and we got a chance. As it's proved, 22 games. It's these games now, Dan. These games, Leeds at home, Forest at home, by the way, look very, very good. Our home form has been the one that's let us down for the title. Over the not our away form, it's been our home form. You know what I mean? How can a team go and beat one team 6-0 away from home and lose 2-0 at home, i.e. West Ham? Go and beat them 5-3 when you rip them apart and lose to them 1-0. You know what I mean? Go to Everton, who are right down there struggling. Can't beat them. You know what I mean? Like when we was going for the title, Southampton relegated. Couldn't beat them home and away. They're the games. They're the games that I'll be looking at and going, well, I'm worried about. You know what I mean? Like when you go to Man United and you get the win, I don't care how you get the win. And do you know what? Like a lot of people, do you know when we beat Spurs last season 1-0?
Yeah.
Oh, they loved it.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. We great that day? No, but I loved it. You know, it's all about getting the result. Man United away, getting the result. And I don't care what anybody. When Tottenham went to in the cup final against Man United, like, you know what I mean, like they played it. That wasn't the best, probably the worst cup final I've ever seen, like, you know what I mean. But at the end of the day, do they care?
Though.
They don't care. So why should we care about it? I had the Spurs fans go to me, "Oh, you worry about that performance? Was you worried about that performance when you play?" Like, no, I don't care about it. We've won, and that's all that matters. But what I will do, if we play like that and we win 1-0 against Leeds with a set piece or a spoony goal, I will be more concerned. 100% I will be. You know,
if we play like that against Leeds and he come off a 0-0 or a 1-1, then of course. And I said this earlier: if it's November, December, and we're struggling, we're in 4th or 5th, and we're still playing like this, then fair play. I'll absolutely lose my head. I weren't pleased with the performance. I didn't go wow, but you have got to take the 3 points, and now it's only 5 games out of the first 6 that we're looking at. We're not looking at this first 6 anymore. After Leeds, we're then looking at only really Man City at home and Newcastle away, you know, other than the Anfield one. So, you know, it's one game down. I wanted to bring this up from Harry. Big up to Harry, man. Really appreciate this massive super chat. Thank you so much, mate. He says, congratulations, guys. Firstly, I hope you're well. He says, as a Man United fan and have season tickets, I hope you win the league because I can't stand Liverpool. Slightly off topic. What did you think about our performance and how do you think we'll do going forward? He's obviously talking about Manchester United, Lee. I've got to be honest, I wasn't amazed by it. I wasn't wowed by it. I thought it was a little bit over the top from some of the Man United fans. However, I think you've got to put it into reality as well, right? So the context is they've been so bad and they're used to being embarrassed last season. The only compliment I can give Manchester United without going too over the top, because I don't think they should in game 1 anyway, that's the only time I've looked at a Ruben Amorim system and thought it worked, if I'm honest, since he's come in. Because I felt like, you know, De Ligt had a really good game to keep things steady at the back. I'm massively impressed with Lenny Yoro. I think he's a very good centre-half. I like the fact that Diallo, when he come on, looked to handful at right wing back. And obviously, Dorgu, I think he hit the post against us and was good going forward at left wing back. I think their midfield, there's a huge question mark, although I thought Casemiro played quite well. But their front men are going to cause problems. Not just Sesko. I'm not talking about him. I think, you know, he's going to score goals. But Cunha and Mbeumo, I think, are 2 excellent signings for Manchester United. I think they're 2 brilliant signings. In fact, if you look at what they did have, Garnacho, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, up top, Højlund or Xerxes. Now they've got Sesko instead of Højlund or Xerxes. And Cunha and Mbeumo are better than Rashford, Garnacho and Sancho and Anthony all put together. Right? So that's my thoughts on United. What about you, Lee?
Well, the way I look at Man United, I thought, you know, you would take the positives from that. Like, I don't think any of their players had a bad game. You know what I mean? Apart from their goalkeeper, who didn't have a lot to do when he had to do it. He messed up, like, you know. So they're going to have to improve in that area. I think they're going to have to go and spend in that area. They locked off our front 3 defensively, so that's something to be looked at. They won the midfield against Rice, Odegaard, and Zubimendi. I didn't think I'd say that. I don't think I say that too often this season. I hope not anyway, like, you know what I mean? And front 3 causes problems. And, you know, Mason Mount, I didn't think had a terrible game neither, like, you know. So listen, from my point of view there, and I will say this now, I'm glad we played Man United now and not in 5-6 weeks' time, because I think that they're going to be a handful. If they keep everybody fit, maybe make 1 or 2 more signings before the end of the season. And I will say this about Man United, Dan, I don't care what anybody says. No other football club would have been able to sign the players that they've signed without European football, without Champions League football, and get those players through the door. Thanks. Unbelievable. That just shows you what a big club they are. And will always be there and thereabouts. You know what I mean? Like Man United should never be where they were last season. Man United, I was speaking to a few. They should be embarrassed at this moment in time, turning up for games. After the disgrace of a season last season. Not only what their league form and that, to lose to Spurs in a final, shame on them. You know what I mean? Like, and they didn't play well in that day. But I tell you what, if they had that team on Sunday and they played Spurs, they'd have beaten them. They would have beaten them. You know what I mean?
Oh, easily. That wouldn't have even been a debate, I don't think, because they're clearly better than what Spurs had last. And I think with Tottenham, although I've been quite impressed with Spurs, must be said, in the last couple of games under Thomas Frank, it's only because it's Thomas Frank. Ange Postecoglou had them open, completely and utterly open, easy to beat. I think Spurs, I've got to say, I don't like this. It's an unpopular thing to say as a Gooner, but I've got to be honest, I think they're going to be a hard team to beat, Tottenham Hotspur.
They are going to be a hard team to beat. But I will say this, and as my mate always says about Spurs, and it is that Spurs were fantastic under Ange for the first few games and all that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so it's all like new for them at the moment. Like, you've still got the same players that have been letting them down, letting manager after manager down for so many years. So I get that, but I did see a lot more togetherness with this Man United team, So listen, and with Cunha, they've got a player. Even if they are playing bad, he can do some damage. So listen, I'm going to say it now. Like, Man United are not going to lose that many games at Old Trafford this season. Not like last season. I think everybody. I don't know how many games they lost last season, but most teams went up.
Well, be interested, Lee, because on game week 6, Chelsea go to Old Trafford. I'd like to see, because they don't do well there either, a bit like us. Their record is not great there. It'd be very interesting to see what Man United team comes up against Chelsea, because Man United have got absolutely abysmal first 6 as well, by the way. Some were saying it's as hard as us.
Yeah, they've got Man City coming up soon as well, won't they? I know they've got, I don't know when that is, but I know
think their first 6 is really bad. It's similar to ours. Their first 6, Man United's first 6 is pretty rough. There ain't many easy games. I know that in the Premier League, but I don't think their first 6 is any kinder than ours, if I'm honest.
They've got Man United on the
Man City.
Man City versus Man United. It's at Man City, but it's on the September when we come back after international break. But they've got Burnley in there, listen, they've got Fulham next game, I think. I don't think that's going to be easy. You know what I mean?
They've got Fulham away, Burnley at home, City away, Chelsea at home, Brentford away, Sunderland at home, and Liverpool away. So in that first 6-7, they've got some tough games there as well, Man United. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, so, listen, I think that they're in a, you lose your first game at home, your next game's away from home. And, so your next away game, right, is going to be the team's first home game. You know what I mean? It's like the sort of change now, don't they? Like, you know what I mean? So that ain't going to be easy. You know what I mean? Like, when you look at it, Dan, you know what I mean? Like, Leeds would be delighted that they've got off to a home win there. You know what I mean? So, it's not not great. There's only two teams that won at home in the that won away. Sorry, in the Premier League, like over that first week, weren't there? Like, there's only 2 teams. So home form.
Well, Arsenal and City, is that it?
Arsenal and City, you know what I mean? Everybody, there's a couple of draws in there, but it was mainly I think that's true. I think,
it's true. Yeah. Well, it's difficult. This season's difficult. I mean, I don't know what your thoughts are going into it. I don't think anything has changed my end from the first week, other than I think Manchester City are going to be a handful again. I questioned them in every department, if I'm honest, Manchester City. Not because I don't rate them, just because I didn't know I didn't know who their goalkeeper was going to be and whether he's going to be good enough. I didn't know if defensively they were going to be sound again. I didn't know what they were going to be like without Rodri. And I didn't know if they were going to be able to have the Foden and co back for their attack to feed Haaland. Well, it seems that James Trafford had a half-decent debut. At the back, they looked pretty good and resolute, and I thought that, Ait Nouri had a fantastic game, and they actually did well with their line. In midfield, Reinders absolutely balled out, player I wanted Arsenal to sign, And, they got Cherky and Reinders off to a great debut in the Premier League, a goal each. And Haaland was back. So Manchester City are looking like they're going to have a great,
I'll ask you this question, right? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how much you got in your bank account. Don't want to know, like, you know what I mean? But put all your money on that you've got in your bank account on Man City to beat Tottenham. Would you do it?
I don't think I would, because I feel like Tottenham are a very hard team to beat. But I do put them favourites, Man City, yeah. Only just, though. I don't think it's going to be a 6-0 or something.
No, it's an interesting game. You know what I mean? I think, again, you know what I mean, as I turn around and say, it's an interesting game for Arsenal against Leeds. You know what I mean? Like, out of the Premier League, only 7 teams have won in that first week, which is, well, we're one of them. So the Leeds. So Man City and Spurs. So
unbelievably, what Man City and Spurs the Sunday?
No, Saturday, 12:30.
12:30. Okay, so, that's interesting.
Out of the teams that have 7, right? Yeah, only so there's Man City and Spurs, right? Have won their first game. So after 2 games, that can't happen, right? And Arsenal and Leeds, so that can't happen, like, you know what I mean? So that just tells you how it's going to be. So there only could be possibly 5 teams that have 5 teams.
And one of them, Sunderland, who have only just come up. So, and I think this weekend, correct me if I'm wrong, Arsenal and Leeds is our game. Obviously, Liverpool got Newcastle. We all know why that's going to be a massive game. That's going to be absolutely huge now because of everything that's happened with them. That's this weekend, I'm sure, isn't it? Or have I got that wrong?
I don't know. Let's have a look. I don't even know when.
I'm sure that's this weekend. Let me know if I'm wrong. I thought that was what they were talking about last night. I'm sure it is, but I might be wrong, mate. I might be wrong.
Is it Monday night? Bloody hell, Monday night.
There you go. And it's at St James's Park as well, which is going to go mad. It's at Newcastle, right?
Oh, that's going to be hostile.
That's absolutely hostile with the Isak stuff. So for me, that is going to be massive as well. So this weekend, City have got Spurs and Liverpool have got Newcastle, 2 teams that everyone believes are going to go all the way this season. That is massive if Liverpool and City win those games, but it's also massive if either of them drop points. Because that could quite easily be 2 draws there, judges. It wouldn't be shocked if they both drop points.
Really interesting. I'll tell you another interest. Like, just looking at the fixtures, there's some really interesting fixtures. You know what I mean? Obviously, Man City Spurs is the big one on the Saturday. Burnley Sunderland's going to be an interesting one because they're both teams that have come up. Burnley, unbelievably defensive record last season, so they'll be looking to get off to that. Sunderland could get something from that game. That'd be an incredible game. Brentford versus Villa is going to be interesting after Villa didn't win at the weekend, and Brentford were
they look in trouble. Brentford,
yeah, and then of course you've got Arsenal versus Leeds, so that's an interesting one. And then Sunday, I think this is an interesting game as well. Like, you know what I mean? Palace versus Forest. That's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Everton versus Brighton. We don't know really, I feel a bit sorry for Everton yesterday. And as you say, then in that Fulham Man United game is worth keeping an eye on just to see what happens there. I do think that what I see of Man United, I would fancy them to go there and win that. Like, and the Newcastle Liverpool game, I think that's a Monday night, isn't it? That's bank holiday Monday, isn't it?
Yeah. It's
go out in the afternoon, have a few beers in the afternoon, make sure you're back for that lot, because that's going to be one hell of a game. One hell of a game.
It'll be a great weekend, actually. I didn't actually realize, because we had Leeds, and I'm looking at that fixture thinking that's a winnable one for Arsenal. I didn't look at the other games and thought, wow, that is a bloody good weekend of football coming up. So enjoy that, people. Look, lastly, Lee, before we do wrap up, transfer window's still open. Players need to be sold. Players need to come in. A lot of Eze talk now. Looks like he's more likely to join Spurs than Arsenal. Now, I think people are trying to have a laugh at that. Eze has clearly not chosen Spurs over Arsenal. We have clearly just pulled out. Now, I don't know why. I don't know if we've pulled out because we don't want him. I don't know if we've pulled out because we've decided now that we don't want him. I don't know if we've pulled out because we need to sell players before we can get him. I have absolutely no idea what's happening. No one does. They're all guessing at the moment. But I'm going to say this. If we can only bring in one more, a left winger is more important than a number 10. Because we do have Wanyeri, we do have Max Dowman. I think those two could feature this season. I do not want to see this left-hand side staying the way it is. Because Madueke hasn't impressed me. And Martinelli has. Rodrigo. It has to be. If it's not Rodrigo and he wants to stay at Real Madrid, then it's between two. Lookman or Semenyo. They're the ones that I'd look at because
Semenyo's the one for me. After what I see him do at Liverpool, that is the player we're crying at. That sort of profile, someone that can get the ball, go 20, 30 yards down the field. I think he's the one. And I'm sorry, he is doable. You know what I mean? Because how you going about that is you go to Bournemouth and you say, "Here, look, we'll give you him, and you can have Fabio Vieira, you can have Nelson on loan, or part of that deal."
Even Trossard, they could have.
Well, I don't think Trossard would go to Bournemouth, would he?
Well, I don't know. At the moment, they're saying he's linked with Brentford, Villa, and Palace or something. I think Trossard probably will end up going abroad, but you're right. There's a couple of options there, but we should be able to get him with the money we got, mate. We shouldn't have to be putting players in. We should just say there's 45 million. There you go, or 50, whatever it's going to cost. Just if that's who we want, go and get him. I don't know. I don't know what we're doing at the moment. It's all gone too quiet for my liking, judges.
Yeah, it has. But you know what I mean? Like, we're not in a position where we're desperate at this moment in time. Like, we can just, what's the word I'm looking for without, just keep our powder dry, if you know what I'm saying. Like, we're not like, it's not like, we're desperate for a strike. Someone said to me, we should have still waited for, the Newcastle player's gone out of my head what his name
Gordon.
is. No.
Isak.
Yeah, we should have gone for him. But, like, imagine if we're waiting, we're still not, you'd be panicking now. Like, Liverpool have done well, by the way, by getting Etskigi in. They're in a position where they can go with, again, they're not, they want him, but they're not utterly desperate. So I don't think we're desperate. I think, like, Spurs at this moment inside are desperate for an Eze. I think that's why, if I've been really honest, I think that if you was Eze, you go to Arsenal and you're going like, yeah, we want you, but we've got to sell so and so, and we've got to do this first, and we've got to do that. And then you're going to Spurs and talking to them, yeah, we want you desperately. We want to. What way are you going to go down, Dan? What route are you going to go down as a footballer, like, you know what I mean? So,
well, look, Arsenal's a better move for him in terms of what he could achieve, but in terms of first team football, he's going to walk into Spurs' 11. He ain't going to walk into Arsenal's 11 under Arteta. He walk into my 11, but he wouldn't, for me, be getting in the first team with Arteta, because he ain't going to start on the left wing and he ain't going to start in the number 10.
Exactly my point.
So that's what I think we've decided. And also think, and people might not, agree with this, and that's up to you. I think he's looked at Ethan Wanyeri and Max Dowman and thought, I don't need another attacking midfielder. I've got those two and Ødegaard. And I think left wing now is where we will go and get someone. I don't know who it's going to be. I'd love it to be Rodrigo. Lots of people like Rafael Leao. Some people believe now Lookman has rejected and it's not gone well for him in Italy. He might come to the Premier League and Arsenal will be fantastic. I think he'd be brilliant, Lookman. I like Lookman a lot. Semenyo's the other one that we're apparently linked with, because obviously he's been fantastic for Bournemouth for quite some time now. I do think he's more of a right winger than a left winger, however, but he can play both. Anthony Gordon, I know you like a lot, but I think that's a hell of a lot of money. I'd be taking Semenyo over Gordon, just my preference. So I think we will get somebody, but we got to get these players out. And this is the problem I've got, and I'll say this before we close. Zinchenko, Reece Nelson, Gabriel Jesus, Trossard, they're all on mad money, bruv. A week. Mad money. Zinchenko's on 150k a week. We are stuck with him. Yeah, Jesus, no one's buying him. He's on 265 a week for another year. No one's buying him. We're stuck with these players unless we just keep loaning them out. Reece Nelson got some promise still at 24, 25. No one's touching him on 100k a week, mate. We have done such a bad bit of business again with these players' wages that Mikel Arteta has taken a leaf out of Arsene Wenger's book, and gone, let's just whack them all on mad money. And if you're not blaming Arteta and Arsene Wenger, blame Edu, blame Husfami and Raul Sanlehi, because what we've done is got rid of those and replaced them and put mad money on these people. There is no way no one can tell me that Mikel Arteta and Edu have gone up to Gabriel Martinelli and said, there's 180k a week, when Luis Diaz was on 55 at Liverpool. Kivior was on £2,000 a week in Italy. He's now on over 50. How do you do that? How do you go from there to warm? Is Arsenal not big enough to go, well, do you want to come Arsenal? Not really. Give you 150. All right, then. Bloody hell, I will. We should want to come to Arsenal and not have any worry about wages. It shouldn't be about how much you're going to pay me. I ain't coming in unless you pay me loads. We are Arsenal. It should be, Christ, I'll come. Well, I don't care how much you're giving me. I'm going to come play for you. That's amazing, yeah. I'm sick and tired of these wages that we're putting on people on. And we are going to struggle because Saliba and Saka are going to go, yeah, cool. What's Kai Havertz on? 290. Cool. 350 then, please. Otherwise, I'm going Real Madrid. Oh, we can afford. Well, I'm going then. Ain't paying Kai Havertz 290 a week. He ain't the best player at the club. He's probably the weakest of our 11. He can't even get in it. This is my problem with it. We've given ridiculous wages to these bang average players, and it's gonna come back and bite us, Lee.
Yeah. Listen, the Jesus one, I'm not going to go down that route because I think like injuries have done that. I think he would have been sensational if it weren't for injuries. But the others are, you can't argue with. And as you say, like Kai Havertz is our highest paid player, and he's not guaranteed a starting 11. So that you can scratch your head at that one, like So that Shinchenko, he was good for us for a year, but surplus of requirements. As you say, listen, we got Eddie out the door 100,000 a week, so we'll have to do it again on a few. I don't understand some of it. That the Kivior, I understand. You know what I mean? I think he deserves. I think with Kivior, I think that he's proved a lot of people wrong, and I think that it weren't even in the squad on the weekend, was he? To me, it looks like he's not happy to just be a squad player no more, and quite rightly so. I thought his performances last season merit him playing first team football quite a lot, And he's right, you know what I mean. Like other teams do get rid of their players for a lot more money than us. I don't know why that is. You know what I mean? Maybe it is the wages that cause it. Like players like Shinchenko, by the way, don't become a bad player overnight. Still a good player.
He's a midfielder for me. You play him in the left 8, I'm happy. But you put him at left back, it's a joke, really. Yeah, but again, he wants to go, but no one will pay him that money, bruv. This is what I'm saying. He ain't going to get 150k anywhere else. He ain't been playing for 2 years, know. And if we sell Kivior, it's fine to sell Kivior, by the way. If he wants to go first team football, there's no point keeping the player unhappy that's there, right? But we bought in Mosquera and we got rid of Tomiyasu. If we get rid of Kivior, we're going to need another defender coming in. This is the problem. Like we're replacing, and we're not strengthening if we're just selling players now. So that's where I'm at. But listen, we got to close there. Big up to everyone. There was another super chat here actually. Let me do this super chat before we go. This is from O'Malley, who says UEA for squad cost ratio is why it's sell to buy. Yeah, look, this PSR and this FFP thing is actually a huge issue, if I'm honest, for a lot of clubs, and not just Arsenal, Villa, Newcastle, they've been in an absolute mess with it. So it is a stupid thing. We're seeing people going, we can't bring anyone in, so we've got to sell our best player just to bring in someone. Like it's a mad thing.
Unless you're Chelsea or Man City.
Well, that's another story, mate. You just keep selling hotels and women's teams and you're fine. But there we go. Listen, big up to everyone. I'm going to send you over to my channel. I'm about to go live now, so please stay where you are. We're redirecting you over there. I'm going to have a little bit of a chin wag with you all. So I'll let you say bye to everyone, judges.
Yeah, listen, have a good day. You know what I mean? Enjoy the rest of the day. And, of course, start looking forward to the first game of the season at the Emirates. I'm buzzing for it, really. As my mate Russ said, decent beer at the Emirates all of a sudden, you know what I mean? That's worth going for, so even if the football's crap, you can get pissed. Lovely. Have a good day.